Meanwhile, in Denmark, they're undesirable and they must feel it. Denmark to ship unwanted refugees to remote island. Denmark will send rejected asylum seekers to live on a remote island located in the freezing Baltic Sea. The island is currently home to animal research laboratories and a crematoria. Now, this is the government of Denmark. This isn't the UKIP of Denmark. They're actually in charge. They're actually going to do this. If you are unwanted in Danish society, this is a quote, you should not be a nuisance to ordinary Danes, Immigration Minister Inger Støjberg wrote in a Facebook post Friday. They are undesirable in Denmark and they must feel it. That is the based, red-pilled government of Denmark telling migrants who have committed crimes, asylum seekers who've been rejected, that they must go home. Another party spokesman said, we're going to minimize the number of ferry departures as much at all possible. We're going to make it cumbersome and expensive as possible. They're looking to take the hardest line on immigration. Definitely a lot harder than Sweden, which basically doesn't even put some rapists in prison who lie about their age, doesn't deport them. You remember the famous case of the girl, the white left-wing activist who literally grounded a plane to prevent an asylum seeker from being deported from Sweden. Turned out later that he'd literally choked his wife and children with a power cord. Those are the kind of people they're defending. But now Denmark has said that if they're rejected or if they've committed crimes, they're going to put them on a remote island before deporting them. Why are they doing that? Well, because of stories like this. Also in Scandinavia, 7 adult migrants suspected of raping 10-year-old Finnish girl. The police are investigating a serious sexual assault in Oulu of a child. So far, 7 foreign men are suspected of seriously raping the young girl and serious child molestation. Apparently, this has been going on for months. According to police, it's possible there will be more suspects. Again, the victim was 10 years old. Finland, isn't it amazing how these kind of cases only started popping up a few years ago in Finland? In fact, I remember, I think it was in late 2015 or early 2016, when Finland officially had its first Islamic terror attack. Wasn't that a coincidence? After the 2015 opening of the borders, which saw a lot of migrants from the Middle East coming into Scandinavia. Meanwhile, in Germany, refugee beats praying priest to death with metal cross, more cultural enrichment. Lois Simbad, a 27-year-old asylum seeker from Cameroon, admitted to killing a 54-year-old pastor, Alain Florent Gandelou, who was from the Congo himself, during a prayer in Berlin on 22nd of February. So again, this is actually migrant on migrant violence, which you see is very common now. At first, he beat the man with a metal cross and moved on to shove an umbrella down his throat. The victim died due to serious head trauma. The perpetrator entered Germany as a refugee in 2014, claims to be a Christian, but says he also believes in witchcraft and ghosts. According to his story, a ghost that had possessed his brother, who also lives in Germany, supposedly had taken over his body. Yeah, try that one in court. Although, who knows, with Germany the way it is at this point in time, maybe they'll listen. Italy, around 2,000 migrants are expected to leave Italy every month under tougher rules. So again, like Denmark, Italy is getting tough on migration after the election of a populist government. Around 2,000 migrants are expected to leave Italy per month as humanitarian residency permits expire following the passage of the Migration and Security Decree drafted by populist Interior Minister Matteo Salvini. You recall he got that vote through Parliament in Italy quite comfortably last week or the week before, I believe. The new Migrant and Security Decree, which is set to come into effect January 2019, scraps the humanitarian residency permit. Those currently living in Italy with the humanitarian permits will not be able to renew them and face deportation instead. So they're talking about 2,000 a month. Now, when Salvini came to power, he said that there were as many as 500,000 illegal migrants in Italy, which Salvini promised to deport. And that's obviously just scratching the surface. But now, at least under this new law, they're going to try and deport 2,000 again. Failed, criminal, illegal asylum seekers or migrants. These aren't migrants who have legally emigrated. So again, Italy is following the example of Denmark in getting tough on migration. And again, this was part of the protest in France. Most people don't realize this. If you look at some of the demands of the Yellow Vest protesters, they specifically said, we don't want the migrants coming in. We want to hold them offshore on a foreign country while they apply for their asylum and not be allowed near France until it's been approved. That is the common sense approach. That's what most common sense people want.